So at approximately 12:44 this morning, a City of Batavia police officer stops a vehicle in the parking lot of St. Joe's off of East Main Street for erratic operation. At about the same time, dispatch received 911 calls of a disturbance in the area of 5 Ross Street. While speaking with the occupants of the vehicle, the City of Batavia police officer learned that of the disturbance that occurred in the area of 5 Ross Street. During this interview, the suspect, Quinton Edmonds, approached the traffic stop and was identified by the occupants of the vehicle as the suspect in the disturbance that had just occurred. Quinton was taken into custody at that point, detained without incident at the traffic stop. While at the scene, officers arrived, located a male victim who was later identified as Michael R. Paladino Jr., age 41, 43, of Ross Street. Upper apartment, bleeding severely from what appeared to be multiple lacerations to his torso and head area. Officers rendered aid until Mercy EMS arrived and transported Paladino to the ER at UMMC. Once at UMMC, Paladino succumbed to his injuries and died. Coroner Don Coleman was called and pronounced Paladino deceased at approximately 5:05 this morning. During the course of the investigation, it was learned that Quinton Edmonds was traveling in a vehicle on Ross Street with 2 female subjects. At some point, an altercation broke out in the vehicle, and the vehicle pulled over in front of the area of 5/7 Ross Street. Edmonds exited the vehicle and began striking one of the female subjects from the vehicle. Michael Paladino, who was in his apartment, heard the altercation taking place and went outside to intervene and assist the females. Edmonds and Paladino got into a physical altercation, and Edmonds either stabbed or cut Paladino several times, causing with a sharp instrument, causing his injuries. Edmonds then fled the scene on foot. Paladino collapsed in the entryway of his apartment, and then Edmonds was eventually located just a few yards away by the officer on the traffic stop, as previously noted. Edmonds was transported to the Genesee County Jail and is uncooperative with investigators at this time. D.A. Friedman was consulted, and a charge of murder in the second degree is being lodged against Edmonds. He is currently being held in the Genesee County Jail, as previously stated, and he's going to be arraigned in city court later this morning. The exact cause of death is pending the autopsy results, which will be performed by the Monroe County Medical Examiner's Office today. Batavia police officers were assisted at the scene by the Genesee County Sheriff's Department, City of Batavia Fire Department, and Mercy EMS. Our City of Batavia Police Chaplain Don Shirk provided assistance to the family of the victim. The investigation is ongoing, and anyone with any information is asked to contact the City of Batavia Police Department.
So this incident was happening in the car as the car was driving past 5 and 7?
Yeah, at some point in time, the car turned onto Ross Street. There was an altercation that took place in the vehicle. I can't get into the details of what that is at this point in time, but they did stop in the area of 5 and 7 where Edmonds exited the vehicle, continued the altercation. One of the females, I believe one of the females exited the vehicle with him, so there was a physical altercation that was taking place between Edmonds and the female. That's when Michael Paladino came out of his apartment after hearing the disturbance and intervened to try to aid the female.
So Mike Paladino was being a good Samaritan and he was murdered.
It appears that Michael Paladino was trying to do the right thing and help somebody out.
And there's no indication that these two had any prior knowledge of each other?
We're still investigating that.
And go on, I had another question for Grant.
When I arrived on scene, that vehicle was in the Richmond Memorial Library next to St. Joe's Church. That vehicle. So did that vehicle then leave the scene while they were fighting, or while there was an incident between Paladino and Edmonds?
Did they leave Edmonds at the scene?
That's correct. Yep, they fled upon seeing what was transpiring. They fled the scene. They were eventually stopped by our officer at St. Joe's off of East Main Street, that parking lot, that shared parking lot with Richmond Memorial.
I'm just curious was there information out that the officer knew to look for that car? How was the car identified?
Absolutely not. At the time that the officer observed the vehicle driving erratically, he thought that he possibly had a DWI situation, so he pulled the vehicle over And at the exact same time, dispatch was receiving phone calls of this disturbance that took place on Ross Street. The officer was in the right place at the right time. The people from the vehicle identified Edmonds as he was approaching the traffic stop as the person that was involved in the disturbance. The officer did a remarkable job in taking him into custody all by himself and securing him for further investigation.
So he's standing there with the traffic stop, and as they're standing there, the two women that were in the vehicle identified him walking towards them?
That's
Is that
correct.
how it happened?
That's correct, yes.
So he wasn't running, he was leaving the scene, and he was probably looking to get back into the vehicle or something?
I'm not exactly sure what his thought was, if he was trying to go somewhere else or if he was trying to go back to the vehicle, but again, he approached immediately within a few minutes of that taking place and approached the officer and the vehicle that was parked there.
Are the two women, there are two women in the vehicle, right? Correct.
That's my understanding, yes.
And are they cooperating with the investigation?
They are cooperating with the investigation, yes.
And last night, Sergeant Coffey mentioned that there were, multiple people that may have been witnesses. Do you know if you've been able to identify and interview them all, or do you still need people to come forward?
We're still looking for people to come forward, but we have interviewed multiple witnesses from that 5-7 Ross Street apartment. There was some other people within that apartment that did witness or heard what happened, so they are cooperating with us. We've taken statements from them. The officers are out today canvassing the area to see if there's any other witnesses that can come forward or any other potential video evidence that may be available from a home surveillance system or what it may be. They're also going to be working with the state police today.
Any indication whether Edmonds was drunk or high?
I don't have that information at this time.
You said he's not being cooperative. Is that he wants a lawyer, or is he being actively kind of hostile?
He asked for an attorney.
Okay.
So at this time, there's no weapon that's been recovered?
We're in the process of trying to locate the weapon that was used.
Yeah, it's a little difficult, it's dark.
Yeah, this happened at, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and, the officers were processing the scene, walked the area, did the best that they could to try and locate the weapon in question, but, it is a pretty large area.
Now it's daylight. Are there officers out there now? Or?
Yeah, there's officers out there now continuing the investigation, looking for more physical evidence, as well as, like I said, trying to find any video in the area and or interviewing more witnesses and re-interviewing witnesses that may have been there last night, early this morning.
What can you tell us about Edmonds? You said he frequents this area, but he does not live here. He comes here quite often?
That's correct. He is known to the police department as someone that is in the city quite often.
Oh, really? So he's not somebody that lives here, but he comes here a lot?
Yeah, his last known address is Rochester, but again, our officers are familiar with him.
Does he have a documented criminal background?
He does have a criminal history.
And is he believed to have been involved in criminal activity in the city? Is that why the police are aware?
I can tell you he's known to the police department.
Known to the local drug task force?
He's known to the police department.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm just, like, his name, I don't know, kind of rings a bell, but I mean, I don't know if there's anything that's been put out there recently for his.
I don't believe
I
so.
think there is.
No.
So
I mean, he hasn't been charged with anything since.
Besides this?
Yeah, besides this. Correct.
Has he ever been charged in Genesee County or in the city?
Not that I'm aware of.
How about as far as, you said he has a record, so previous record in Rochester?
Yes, he does have at least one arrest that I'm aware of dating back to in Rochester, dating back a few years. I believe he was on parole for a charge out of Rochester. That parole has expired, so he's no longer on parole that I'm aware of.
When did that expire? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you without looking at his record.
So he was a former parolee?
Correct.
Do you know anything about Paladino's family? Were they on scene last night? What was the situation there?
I do know that one of his relatives was at the hospital when he passed, so we had our chaplain go up there and tend to the relatives' needs. My understanding is they've been in touch with their local church to reach out for some assistance.
So he was coming out to help these women. who were being attacked, what exactly was Edmonds doing? Was he physically in a
Was he-
disturbance
was
with
he
his
striking
friend? Was
them
he
in the
striking
mall?
them, or what was he doing?
Our understanding is he was in a physical confrontation with at least one of the female passengers in the vehicle.
And they were outside of the vehicle when?
I can't say for sure if they were inside or outside the vehicle, but they were in the general area of the vehicle, and the vehicle was parked directly in front of that 5-7 Ross Street.
Okay, so it was parked on that side of the street, so it was
Correct.
facing, so it happened right in front of his house?
Yeah, I believe the vehicle was parked facing north.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like they-
Parked on his side, but facing north?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so.